Hello again. Sorry you all might have missed me over the last couple of weeks or so. So this is, I guess we'll go over a couple of weeks and make it sort of a bumper episode. I think I've been struggling with things sort of a little bit behind the scene. I've not had my focus has been a bit here and there. For various reasons, so I'm gonna try and get back into a nice sort of routine, which I'm continuously saying I continuously struggle in. So I'm hoping that this will sort of start the habit of getting back into it. So we're gonna have a look through the last couple of weeks. So that would have started from sort of the 26th of August, like onwards. So it started with the bank holiday, would have been bank holiday Monday, which was spent babysitting, so looking after my niece and nephew whilst my sister was sort of getting work done. So what did sort of things did we get up to? There was sort of a lot of playing in the garden, sort of a little bit of Disney Plus, which is an absolute lifesaver. Sort of going... What did we do? We went going shopping, went to the park, visiting sort of what was my grandma, I suppose their great grandma, which is sort of all very very good. Sort of very very fun. Also slightly tiring trying to run after a very small child who has a never-ending supply of energy, as far as I'm aware. Which was lovely, and then I managed to sort of take part in one of the hobbies which my sister and her daughter are getting involved in, which is archery, which I have mentioned for a while ago, which I had to go at through my friend Stag Do sort of a couple of months ago, which was an activity that I really enjoyed there, and I think I sort of got into a good rhythm of that, and like to think I was very accurate, very good, and I enjoyed it because I was sort of unknowingly sort of pretty solid at it. And so I gave that a bit of a go. Definitely didn't, well, I was just happy I didn't end up injuring myself and didn't miss the targets too many times, as this was the slight adjustment was that the distances were, it was a different distance from what originally did sort of previously, as well as the fact of the height issue. And the height issue is a bit of a funny one for me because me being someone that's over 6 foot, I'm often looking down at things, and I suppose my worry is looking down at the target. So I think I needed to potentially adjust that. Should I be doing that again? I was the ability to do the archery, however, was slightly based on my nephew going to bed because he's very young and small and can't do that sort of thing just yet. So we sort of did that till it got dark, which was just quite enjoyable. And then sort of got back into work for the Tuesday, which was wrapping up, drawing up the big sort of one of my bigger projects that I was at with my colleague, making sure everything was joined up, wrapped up, tidied up, sent off, as it were, which I managed to do within the morning. From that, then managed to head off and complete another job on site, having already drawn up a job, because it was slightly smaller, but with a slightly, how do I say this, funky specification. Because I think all of our jobs, surveying-wise, have a standard spec of what to get, and this is a client that sort of handpicked out, well, was very particular over certain things. For example, a 5 meter grid of levels, so you're taking considerably more levels and more shots throughout the process of surveying, as well as multiple shots on things like curbstones, where you're sort of having sort of from the base of the curb, top of the curb, to the back of the curbstone, 3 levels instead of what would have been 2. You multiply that off of over a long stretch of road, that builds up time and it has lots of levels. It makes everything look very messy, particularly on a busy drawing. So that was that wasn't too bad. And then I managed to well, I suppose with this is that this was the start of a bigger project, as there were multiple sites with this very specific specification, which other colleagues sort of did their own areas. I did multiple areas throughout said week, and sort of wrapping, just sort of doing those. Sort of had half a day on one of them in order to draw up another one, which for the Thursday. I'll get my days right. For the Thursday, to which was because of the gig I went to with my friends, was to go into, I believe the place is called the Garage, which was a music venue around sort of near the Islington tube station, not that far from the Emirates. Sort of very sort of smallish, sort of cozy atmosphere. It was all very good. I suppose I quite enjoy these things as venues if the band can get a good atmosphere. Obviously, I think I've had the previous 2 gigs of filling out the Olympic Stadium and Wembley. So not to say I didn't like them, but I like the variation in the size and the scale for different shows. Which the bands were the support act, I'm still undecided on, because they sort of had the drums already recorded instead, so there was only the 2 members there, of the guitarist and the bassist, to which I don't know how I feel about that, because I want the whole band to be there, live, to do everything, to mix up their songs, to make it, well, I can't say make it their own, it is their own, but just add that little bit of live sort of spontaneity to it, a bit of fun to it. So I mean, they were okay, I suppose. I don't think they did anything wrong. Obviously, they're not a band I was very familiar with, so I can't critique them too much on that. The main band, very fun, very energetic. Jury, who I mentioned last week, I can't recommend them enough. I'm surprised that they're not bigger, because I think they've got sort of quite a few very catchy songs, some of which I think might be across various TikToks or social media. I would need to sort of investigate that one to be 100% sure. One of my highlights of which was, having listened to the music for a couple of weeks, they had a particular sort of slow song. So me, being the regular gig goer that I go when I go to gigs, so phone, light, up in the air. The guitarist notices me, it's just like, you, and then like part way through after that, I was sort of keeping doing it, and the lead singer's just like, we live to do all these shows where we can get people to do what that man's doing right there, with his light on, camera on, swaying, get everyone to do it. And then I turned to my friend, like, I am the trendsetter, I'm the popular one. Like, people listening, following what I was doing. The whole thing was very fun, very enjoyable. And then sort of getting back to that, I had the Friday booked off, which was for another round of babysitting, including my brother's children. So that's 5 small children in total, sort of helping my sort of parents out there. So much of the work was going into sort of playing a few different games, playing Uno, hide and seek, going in the garden, getting Disney Plus on. I'm trying to remember what film it was. Space Jam. And that's arguably one of my favourite sporting films of all time, along with The Mighty Ducks and Cool Runnings. Best 3 in my opinion. Escape to Victory, a little bit far off of that, but by the by. Which was all sort of absolutely exhausting. There were definitely highs and lows based on the hunger of the children and the tiredness of said children. But overall, sort of very sort of enjoyable, worthwhile experience. And then much of my weekend was just housework, just maintenance, just regular jobs, just regular tidying up, doing the washing, sort of the multiple loads of clothes washing around there, hoovering, sorting out cat litter, mowing, watering, all of that sort of not so fun, those not so fun jobs sort of undertook, as well as sorting out some fence work, some much needed sort of fence work around my side, because I bought a post in order to. I had my fence line coming back to a building, or coming close to said building, but it was still wobbling around, and so what I needed to do was simply set a post, drill that, secure that, with some minor bits and bobs and a bit of going off the script to fix things. We managed to do that. Thankfully, doing that with someone else, so I could run an idea past them to make sure it wasn't a completely stupid idea, because that's my DIY knowledge is sketchy at best. To which we go into the next week, which was continuing the big project, multiple sites with the complicated jobs, but more detailed job specification. Throughout doing that sort of Monday and the Tuesday, and then the rest of the week is essentially drawing up all of those jobs, putting everyone's together in one big DWG for said client. So that was sort of 6 or 7 different sites, all into one project, sheeted up and ready to go. Sort of looking at the 3D models sort of set up for the jobs in a slightly different manner to which we normally do, as we primarily have a separate 3D layer with the sort of 2D line work. The 2D line work you can use to sort of see the distinct features, i.e. sort of a change in surface, a curb line, a wall, a fence. We usually have a separate 3D layer to primarily which is just a singular colour, just to sort of show the change in, sort of the lay of the land and change in heights. With this specification, we had to ensure that the 3D layer was matching the line work and the 2D layer colour-wise, so you could see what those heights were linked to. This is the height for the wall, this is the height for the road, this is the height for the surface change. You can see it in a value as on the 2D drawing, and you can see it in position on a 3D model, which was a unique thing and very, a little fiddly, so sort of out of the norm from what I'm used to or consider normal. So that was thankfully all done, all wrapped up. And then for Saturday, I took up a friend's suggestion to go to the Colchester Invasion. So this is an activity that goes throughout the Colchester town centre, raising money for charity. So people sort of dressing up as various different characters from TV, film, comic books, including sort of some of the vehicles in sort of those forms of media, as well as some other different props. This included several sort of swords and bits of jewellery from the Game of Thrones universe. My friend dressing up as Harley Quinn, myself dressing up as Nightwing, my first attempt at dressing up, or sort of going into the cosplay world as it was, as I've been asked about this before. One thing I've learned from said experience is always go a size up. Everything otherwise, particularly if it's a one thing, is tight and uncomfortable, and I'm just going to say this right now, trips to the bathroom are not enjoyable, and they become a lot more complicated. So, as well as sort of the fact that you can get quite warm in those things as well. So you've got to work out layers, you've got to work out pockets. But overall, it was a very fun experience, a different way of looking at things. My sort of friend suggesting how this sort of brings out a more social, positive side of people when other people are dressed up, as opposed to the regular sort of hustle and bustle of just sort of sitting, walking in the street, just on the phone, just flat out ignoring people, not giving a shit. So it's just not it's different. It's good to sort of take a different person's perspective on sort of society and sort of social views, as I myself probably I have sort of very different ones sort of based on my own life, my own experiences, I suppose. To which was very enjoyable. So then I had Sunday as the rest day. It was gym, which I sort of am enjoying going regularly sort of Sunday mornings. There's that sort of a slot that's always available, and it's a slot I'm always up for, as I'm someone that doesn't regularly sort of drink very heavily, and when I do, it's on very random days. And so getting up for that wasn't a problem. Then it's a bit of housework, and then it was just purely gaming pretty much throughout that, sort of flicking between Apex Legends and Elder Scrolls Online at the moment. I suppose flipping between the two depending on my mood and my desire to be social with other people is probably one of the key aspects of it, because I think we all have those sort of up and down days when you wanna talk to someone, like you want to talk and be happy and so on, and this is times when you just want to be with the thoughts, just work things out in your own headspace. But yeah, that's it. And so I think I've covered everything. So I'm going to go into my happy song. I found a uniquely named one. This is partly through my listening of Jury. I found an associated artist, which the song, if I pay attention to the lyrics, is actually really enjoyable and very upbeat. Ironically, it's called Episode 5, Hating Stuff, and this is by Ian McConnell. Now, doesn't sound very positive, doesn't sound very upbeat, but it's more singing about the idea of stopping hating stuff, to sort of not have sort of the prejudice over sort of certain things, and to just go out and do whatever random thing you enjoy. It's that sort of, let's have a bit of fun, let's just have a laugh with it all. And so I think I'll leave everyone on that note. Thank you very much. Apologies again. I will try and ensure I get back into a regular pattern, regular day. Cheers for now.